Good morning, America. Breaking overnight, order halted. A federal judge blocks the enforcement of President Trump's controversial immigration restrictions. What it means for those in legal limbo with visas revoked and banned from entering the country. And one attorney general's warning to Trump.
It is his obligation as our president to honor it, and I'll make sure he does.
The next move from the White House.
New sanctions, President Trump's tough stance against Iran, targeting Iran's ballistic missile program.
They're not behaving.
The pushback from Tehran, and is the possibility of military action still on the table?
Attack at the Louvre. What we're learning now about the suspect shot by soldiers, terrified tourists at the famed museum sent into lockdown. This morning, a much different scene. New details now on the suspect, who he is, and how he allegedly got his 2 machetes.
And Super Bowl kickoff. Roger Goodell and top players fielding tough questions ahead of the big game as our TJ Holmes tags along with some NFL players on a tour of NASA.
Should have been an astronaut.
That's out of this world.
Live from ABC News in New York, this is Good Morning America.
Hey, good morning. Let's get straight to the breaking news this morning. The new twist in President Donald Trump's controversial travel and immigration ban.
Can I say real quick, it's great to have you back this weekend.
You.
We all missed you.
Back
to the news. A federal judge has imposed a nationwide hold on Trump's executive order. Now, it will halt parts of the executive action, which temporarily bars some immigrants and refugees from 7 predominantly Muslim countries. We have seen worldwide protests since the president signed that order last week.
And overnight, at least 4 airlines announced that citizens of the 7 countries who have the appropriate paperwork will be allowed to travel to the U.S., but the Trump administration is fighting back here.
They certainly are. White House spokesman Sean Spicer releasing a statement calling the judge's order, quote, outrageous, and vowing to take legal action to defend the president's executive order. So let's head straight to Washington this morning. ABC's senior justice correspondent Pierre Thomas joins us. Hi, Pierre.
Good morning, Paula. That federal judge in Washington state freezing enforcement of President Trump's order restricting some refugees from entering the U.S. Last night, the White House, as you said, was livid, vowing that the Justice Department would take emergency action to challenge that judge.
In the order issued last night, U.S. District Judge James Robart concluded that Washington state's businesses, educational facilities, and tax base could be damaged by Trump's restrictions on refugees from some countries.
The state has met its burden of demonstrating that it faces immediate and irreparable injury as a result of the signing and implementation of the executive order.
In addition to claiming that Trump's order would damage the state's economy, Washington officials argued that the executive order is discriminatory against Muslims. But they suspect that the ruling in their favor is only round 1.
I'm certain the president will not like this decision, but it is his job, it is his responsibility, it is his obligation as our president to honor it. And I'll make sure he does.
The order is effective nationwide and impacts roughly 60,000 foreign nationals who had their visas revoked due to Trump's order. It's unclear this morning whether those banned from entering the U.S. will be allowed to do so anytime soon, and how this affects thousands of refugees and immigrants already in the country. At least 3 overseas airlines are allowing people from the affected countries on flights bound to the U.S. The court fight is clearly just beginning, with the Justice Department making the case that Congress has given the president broad authority to oversee immigration and to protect national security.
It's the president that gets to make the determinations, and the court doesn't have authority to look behind those determinations.
It was a confusing day. There are multiple lawsuits challenging the executive order across the country. In a separate case in Boston, a federal judge said while there were compelling arguments on both sides, he does not believe that those challenging Trump's executive order are likely to succeed.
Some legal scholars believe there's a strong likelihood that at least one of these cases will make its way to the Supreme Court. This fight appears far from over.
Much more to come on this, but Pierre, let's get back to this case in Washington state. Some people might be surprised to learn that the judge in question here is not a liberal.
Dan, here's what we know. The judge was nominated by President George W. Bush and confirmed by the Senate in a vote of 99-0.
Pierre Thomas, our Chief Justice Correspondent. Paula, sorry for interrupting you. Carry on.
No worries. Thank you, Dan. Thanks, Pierre. And meantime, President Trump taking a tough stance against Iran, imposing new sanctions for what the administration is calling, quote, provocative behavior after Iran recently launched those ballistic missiles. The president is spending the weekend at his Mar-a-Lago resort, and that's where we find David Wright this morning. Hi, David.
Hi, Paula. This is President Trump's first trip since the inauguration down to the place that he's now calling the Winter White House, a phrase that hasn't been heard so much here in Florida, not since the days when President Nixon used to come to Key Biscayne. But because of that judge's ruling in Washington state, it's shaping up to be anything but a relaxing weekend. Hours after President Trump touched down here in Palm Beach, the White House blasted back at the court's authority, noting at the earliest possible time the Department of Justice intends to file an emergency stay of this order and defend the executive order of the president. Earlier in the day, Trump himself tweeted, "We must keep evil out of our country." The White House is now taking particular aim at one of the 7 countries targeted by the travel ban, Iran.
They're not behaving.
Adopting new sanctions targeting Iran's ballistic missile program. That tough talk is drawing praise from House Speaker Paul Ryan.
I think what this administration is doing, which I agree with, is saying we have a new administration and we're going to hold you, Iran, to account.
Others are urging caution. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy called the Trump administration's actions towards Iran reckless. Tehran is pushing back, threatening to kick out U.S. passport holders it deems to be tied to terrorism, noting that the names of the banned American people and entities would be announced later. The Speaker of the Iranian parliament went so far as to call Trump's behavior immature, but the White House signaled the possible sanctions are serious and may even carry a military threat.
Should Americans be ready for the possibility of military action with Iran? Is that on the table?
I've said this before. The president's been very clear. He doesn't take options off the table, but he understands the impact of something like that.
Here at Mar-a-Lago, President Trump is not going to escape the protesters. Demonstrators pro and con plan to descend on this place. Tonight, the American Red Cross is holding its annual White Tie Gala here, and the president plans to attend. Dan, Paula?
David Wright in Palm Beach. David, thank you. Let's talk about all of this, and there's a lot to discuss, with Bill Kristol, editor of the Weekly Standard and an ABC News contributor. Bill, good morning to you. And in Washington, ABC News political analyst Kristen Soltis Anderson. Kristen, good morning. Bill.
Good morning.
Thank you. Let's start here with the big headline this morning. This judge in Washington issuing this temporary blocking of the controversial executive order on immigration. Democrats are excited about this, but it's definitely not over. What happens next?
The judicial system works. You know, President Obama had some of his executive orders challenged. Some were sustained, some were overturned. I think it should reassure people a little bit who think, you know, Donald Trump is going to impose authoritarian rule on America. I mean, I'm a pretty big critic of Donald Trump, but the system seems to be working, right? There are appeals. The judge issues an order. The Justice Department is obeying the order. They're appealing it, which is their right. My main question for you, though, is why are we here and not in Mar-a-Lago? Could you talk to the big shots at ABC? And why is David Wright down there? Could we go?
Maybe Kristen can answer that question.
Can't we do the show from Mar-a-Lago? I mean, it's cold up here in New York.
You're a brilliant television programmer, Bill. Let it not be said otherwise. Kristen, you're a pollster. Is the public on Trump's side on this?
The polling is pretty divided on this question about the immigration ban itself. You have about half of the people in America who think that it's a good idea, about half who think that it's a bad idea. Generally, you find that with anything that Donald Trump does, about 4 out of 10 Americans just really don't like it. They strongly disapprove of him. They want to see him impeached, according to data that I saw this week. But you have the rest of America that either loves him or at least is looking cautiously at this. And I think given that it's just been the first 2 weeks, there are some folks that are nervous. They'll see things like the rollout of this immigration ban, and they'll wonder, is this the strong leadership that we were really looking for? Is this the competent management that Donald Trump said he was going to bring to the White House? But overall, because it's only been 2 weeks, I think there are some folks that are going to give him at least a little bit of leeway to make a few little mistakes here and there, as long as he gets back on track and is managing things effectively going forward.
All right, I don't want to get too wonky here and talk about Dodd-Frank, but the other headline, President Trump signed 2 executive actions which basically chip away at the financial regulations. Is this good for Main Street, or is this good for Wall Street?
You know, I can't judge that. I mean, I think a lot of serious people think Dodd-Frank was implemented, at least in a way that is too broad, that hurts lots of small banks as well as the big banks. This, but who passed Dodd-Frank? Congress. Who are Dodd and Frank, right? They're a senator and a congressman. And it reminds you, these executive orders are pursuant to legislative action. Congress gets a say here. And that, I think, is the big story. The first 2 weeks have been full of executive actions, which is fine. He's entitled to try that. But the big question for me is, what does Congress ultimately do in a host of areas, ranging from Obamacare to Dodd-Frank to tax policy? And there, I think, and Kristen knows a lot about this, I think Trump needs to get his approval ratings up some, to have real clout with Congress. Just having 52 Republican senators, they're not going to just go along automatically when Donald Trump says, I want to do X, Y, or Z.
Sure, and a lot of people are saying, though, that chipping away at these financial regulations is going to be good for small businesses. But, Kristen, I do want to ask you one more thing. What do you make of the feud that's heating up seemingly between Chelsea Clinton and Kellyanne Conway? Of course, Chelsea slammed Kellyanne on Twitter for making up that massacre during an interview. Kellyanne did acknowledge she misspoke, meaning to say terrorists, not massacre. But then Kellyanne added a jab that Hillary Clinton lied about landing during sniper fire in Bosnia. So what do you make of this seeming feud here?
Well, there are a lot of times where Republicans sort of feel like they're treated unfairly, like if somebody on the Democratic side does something, they don't get as criticized for it, where on the Republican side, you keep taking hits for it. Last weekend, you heard some folks from the White House go out and say, look, the wounds are still open here, that even though they've won the White House, they still feel like America is not giving them enough credit, or specifically the media is not giving them enough credit for that win. And so I think that's part of why you saw that response from Kellyanne to what Chelsea Clinton had to say.
Kristen Solzhenitsyn and Bill Crystal, thank you very much for your programming suggestions and analysis this morning. We really appreciate it.
See you next week at Mar-a-Lago.
That's right, baby.
You heard it here first. We'll try to improve that with our executives. Thanks, Bill. And turning our attention now to Paris, where authorities are learning new details about the suspect accused of trying to attack soldiers with machetes outside the famed Louvre Museum. And ABC's Alex Marquardt is in Paris with the very latest for us this morning. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Paula. The Louvre Museum is back open this morning. You can see long lines of people here waiting to get in after the museum was shut down and evacuated yesterday following the attack. That attack happening just a short distance from here at the entrance to the underground mall that is underneath this museum. There were crowds of visitors inside at the time. They huddled together before being let out. The attacker had charged at a group of soldiers with 2 military-style machetes, managing to lightly wound one of the soldiers. He was shot 4 times and this morning is in critical condition. French authorities have officially called this an act of terrorism. They're still looking into the identity of the attacker and any possible connections he may have had. We know from the Paris prosecutor that he is a 29-year-old Egyptian who got a French tourist visa in Dubai. He traveled here on January 26th, renting an apartment in an upscale neighborhood. There has been stepped-up security all across the city, really across the country, in the wake of 3 major terror attacks in the past 2 years. French officials fearing that another one is inevitable. But as you can see here this morning, the French who live here and the foreigners visiting trying to ignore that and enjoy this magnificent, if rainy, city. Dan?
Alex, thank you. Now to the day in court for the Mexican drug lord known as El Chapo. His lawyers complaining to the judge that his 23-hour lockdown in Manhattan's high-security Metropolitan Correctional Center is too strict, and ABC's Eva Pilgrim has more.
This morning, a glimpse into Mexican drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman's life inside an American jail. Guzman, wearing a Navy jumpsuit, sat silent as his attorney spoke in court Friday. Public defenders for the world's most notorious drug boss complaining that the restrictions don't even allow Guzman to get a glass of water.
Restrictions are excessive.
El Chapo is on lockdown 23 hours a day, given 1 hour as an exercise break, and only allowed a select team of defense attorneys as visitors.
He needs to be able to meet with his family or at least speak to his family and confer with them.
The judge's response, they're taking extra security measures. I think we all know the reasons for that. The head of the Sinaloa drug cartel escaping prison multiple times, most recently tunneling out of a Mexican jail, eluding authorities using his expansive network to hide out and stay on the run before his most recent capture in January 2016.
Because he is so powerful and wealthy, any additional communications could potentially set up an escape.
The narco king facing 17 charges for allegedly exporting more drugs to the U.S. than anyone else. Guzman pleading not guilty to all 17 charges.
And El Chapo could be facing life in prison if convicted. He is expected back in court in May. Dan and Paula.
All right, Eva Pilgrim reporting from Manhattan this morning. Thank you, Eva. We want to send things over to Ron Claiborne. What's a Saturday morning without Ron? I say it's no Saturday at all.
Wow.
How
Thank
about
you.
that?
Hey, good morning to you, Paula and Dan.
We missed you as well last
Thank
weekend.
you, Diane. Robert, good morning to you. Good morning, everyone. We're going to begin in North Dakota, where demonstrators protesting against the Dakota Access Pipeline, they've been given an ultimatum: leave by the end of the month or you will be removed. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers announcing that it will close the federal property where the protests have been taking place. They're citing safety reasons. There's a concern that the snowfall expected in the region will lead to flooding later, and that refuse and debris from the demonstrators could cause environmental problems. The Navy ship USS Cole has been sent back to Yemen following Monday's attack on a Saudi warship and last weekend's raid targeting al-Qaeda there. In 2017, sailors on the Cole were killed, and the guided missile destroyer severely damaged in a terrorist bombing attack. And the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives announcing on Friday that it will increase its presence in Chicago, sending in extra agents to help combat gun violence there in that city. More than 750 people were murdered in Chicago in 2016. That's more than a 50% increase from the previous year. And in New Jersey, an appeals court judge has ruled that a 7th grade girl was expelled from her private school after suing the school for trying to get a chance to play on the boys' basketball team. She must be allowed back in that school. 12-year-old Sydney Phillips and her younger sister, they were blocked from entering St. Teresa's Catholic School on Thursday. Administrators barring them, citing that they were saying that they were trespassing. The girl's father says the girls will be back on Monday. And we're getting our first glimpse of former President George H.W. Bush since he left a Houston hospital earlier this week. You see him here with his nephew, Denver Broncos President Joe Alice. The former president is expected to take part in the coin toss at the Super Bowl on Sunday. And finally, who do you call if you need to catch a runaway steer?
Rob Marciano.
Rob Marciano.
Ron Claiborne.
Or a cowboy. Giddy up! Or cowboy Rob Marciano. That's what police in Weatherford, Texas did when they couldn't catch this cow that jumped off a truck on its way to the butcher.
Look at him go.
It took about 90 minutes, but the cowboy finally lassoed the wayward bovine. The 800-pound steer was returned to the ranch, where they had a great steak dinner that night.
Oh, come no.
Oh,
Return to the ranch, not the butcher.
They let the cow live.
Yeah,
They did?
Okay, yes, they did.
Good. And that's the moral of the story. Huh.
Moral of the story is escape and save your life, I guess.
I thought the moral of the story was that Rob's a cowboy.
I'm a cowboy.
I wanna be a cowboy.
That's the hidden story.
On a steel horse you ride?
Don't let me break it to Bon Jovi. All right. They had trouble riding horses, motorcycles, trucks. Look at this. This is just a nightmare in Portland yesterday. One of many ice storms this year. 50-car pileup across Interstate 5. Just horrible, horrible stuff. They're melting today, at least for now, but look at this shot. You got a tractor trailer that spun off the road. That's the Columbia River there. And then this car flipped over the top of a cliff in the hills of Portland there. So it's been a rough, rough winter. And they may get another shot of snow come Sunday night and Monday. This is kind of a complicated system, but very low confidence at this point. But San Francisco, you're going to get another round of rain as well. And it has some flooding issues across parts of central California. That's a quick track on the Western headlines. Here now is your local forecast.
Good Saturday morning. Our feels like temperatures starting in the teens, so it is off to quite a chilly start. Make sure you grab that scarf and the hat, surely needed this morning. And through this afternoon, not going to be feeling too much warmer. Our daytime highs stay in the upper 30s. We're below average for today, but that'll all be changing starting tomorrow. Super Bowl Sunday forecast looking pretty quiet, mostly cloudy skies with those temperatures getting in the lower 50s.
Wanted.
Dead or alive?
Dead or alive. Another forecast coming up, including the Super Bowl forecast.
Dogs throughout the neighborhood are howling.
John Bon Jovi not performing at the Super Bowl, though I wish he would. Thank you for that impression, Rob. And the wait's almost over. Super Bowl Sundays tomorrow as part of the festivities. The league commissioner was taking questions from fans, and wow, they did not hold back.
And ABC's TJ Holmes is in Houston, where it will all go down tomorrow. TJ, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Finally go down, right? It's enough with these celebrities and the parties and the build-up and these press conferences. Let's get to the game, can we please? And we're finally at Super Bowl Eve here. It will finally go down tomorrow. And you can still, guys, believe it or not, get a ticket. Bad news is cheap seats are going for $2,700. If you don't want to do that, you have another option. Just ask nicely.
On Friday, the NFL commissioner and 3 players, Eli Manning, Larry Fitzgerald, and Greg Olsen, came face-to-face with their fans to give them the inside scoop.
I want to congratulate all y'all.
Some were curious about the secrets to Super Bowl success from the only quarterback in